I've been in the office of the First and Deputy First Minister for the last 7 years, and for the first 5 years we faced our challenges, but things, I think, went satisfactorily in terms of trying to continue to move forward towards an administration that everybody could be proud of. But I have to say, being involved in the office for the last 2 years, it's my opinion that the last 2 years have been absolutely appalling. Why have they been appalling? They've been appalling because of the unwillingness, refusal of the DUP and other Unionists to accept, for example, democratic decisions taken by Belfast City Council, parading decisions taken by the Parades Commission, the pulling the plug on the record commitments on things like the development of the Long Kesh site, and that is on the record a commitment in the programme for government. And of course the latest example, the example of which I think is symbolic of the inability of the DUP to accept equality, the dishonouring of the commitment that was made by both Ian Paisley and Peter Robinson in regards to the installation of a Sinn Féin Speaker for the rest of this term of the Assembly. And that's without mentioning the violence on the streets, over flags, parading, the hundreds of police officers who have been injured, and the very clear support that was received for the protests from the two Unionist parties in particular, and by other extreme politicians during the course of the last 2 years. So for the last 7 years I have bent over backward to make these institutions work, and I'm going into these talks in a very positive and constructive frame of mind to make the institutions work. But they can only work on the basis of equality, and they can also only work if we have honesty from all of the participants to these talks. And the British government, I have to say, are as much a part of the problem as any of the other matters that I have identified here this morning. The British government have raided our block grant over the course of the last 4 years. They have imposed huge cuts on the most disabled, disadvantaged and marginalised citizens within our society. So they will have to step up to the plate during the course of these conversations. So yes, we are approaching this with a view to finding solutions. The last thing I want to say is I think the refusal of the DUP to attend here this morning shows their utter contempt for this process, their contempt for the two governments, and their contempt and lack of respect for all of the other parties in this process. So we have a job of work to do. We will now go down and we will have the conversations, and as we have done in the past, and people know our record, whether it be our involvement in the Good Friday negotiations, the St Andrews negotiations and the Hillsborough negotiations, and of course the Haas negotiations, where we were the most enthusiastic supporters of implementing the proposals put forward by Richard Haas and Megan O'Sullivan, which involved a compromise on our part. So we will not be found wanting. I hope that others will not be found wanting also.